In the year 2024 in Fayetteville, Georgia, a 39-year-old woman, Carrie Hardin, who worked as a nurse and was also a mother of two children, had made a decision to divorce her 39-year-old husband, Kenneth Hardin Junior, who served as a pastor. The couple had lived together for 14 years, but her husband, who was a pastor, always abused and controlled her. Carrie had sticked with him for a very long time, believing that he would one day change his behaviors, but that never happened. Their marriage was so toxic that Carrie could no longer stay silent or be in it, so she met with a divorce attorney and proceeded with her divorce plan. However, on the night of 20th August 2024, her temperamental and abusive husband got into a huge fight with her. Their children were asleep in their rooms at that time. Pastor Kenneth, who was so drunk that night, was so full of rage, so he shot her dead. He then partially burned her body and buried it in a shallow grave at the back of their house. Some human beings are so wicked, Carrie Hardin didn't deserve to die such a senseless death at the hands of her husband. This is the story of Carrie Hardin. Carrie Hardin was born on April 17, 1985, in St. Louis, Missouri. She was the only daughter of her mother, Maud Smith. After her middle school, she joined Fort Zumwalt South High School, where she graduated in the year 2003. After high school, Carrie joined college where she studied nursing. After her graduation, she started working as a registered nurse associated with the Nurses Earn It Medical Staffing Group. She was very dedicated in her career, and her leadership made the nursing sector to reach new heights. Carrie, who was also into business, later met a man known as Kenneth Hardin Junior while at St. Louis, Missouri. Kenneth was born in the year 1985, and he grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. He was a pastor who started off by preaching the Word of God in some of the toughest neighborhoods in St. Louis. His sermons often centered on morality, urging people to make positive changes in their lives. So Kenneth and Carrie became friends, and later on they started dating. They married each other on May 13, 2011, and later on they were blessed with two wonderful sons. Carrie was a devoted mother to her children. Her marriage life with her husband was perfect at the beginning, and she would often post about how she appreciated him on social media. On Father's Day, she wrote a heartfelt message about how he was an amazing father and a loving husband. The couple frequently shared videos of family outings and fun moments with their children. The two would always support each other. Unfortunately, their relationship started deteriorating when Pastor Kenneth began abusing her. With time, he started controlling and manipulating her. At one time, he burst out of the window to the bathroom to get her, and he chased her down the road with a gun. Carrie always believed that her husband would change his abusive and controlling behaviors. She believed that her husband cannot harm her, so she decided to stay in this abusive marriage so that she can keep her family. The couple often fought during domestic disputes, and Kenneth's temper always got the better part of him during those arguments. In the year 2020, the family moved from St. Louis to Fayetteville, Georgia. Time had really went by, and Carrie had endured being in a toxic marriage for a very long time, and so she had reached her breaking point. She wanted to divorce her husband and break free from their toxic marriage. She also wanted a safe and stable environment for herself and for her children. So she started gaining her freedom by accepting a job offer at the Cochran VA Medical Center in St. Louis. Carrie then contacted a divorce attorney, and she started making plans to end her 14-year-old marriage with her husband. However, on the morning of Tuesday, August 20th, 2024, Carrie and Kenneth entered into a heated argument after they had a disagreement. However, the disagreement led into a full-blown fight, which lasted the entire day. At night, Pastor Kenneth was heavily drunk, and he again got into a heated argument with his wife at their home on Merlin Court in Fayetteville, Georgia. At that time, their children were deep asleep in their rooms. The couple's argument escalated throughout the night, becoming more intense as emotions ran high. In a fit of rage, Kenneth grabbed a gun and shot his wife, Carrie, multiple times. When he realized that she was dead, he decided to cover up the crime scene. So, in the early hours of the following morning, which was 21st August, while his two young sons were still deep asleep inside the house, Kenneth cleaned up the crime scene so that he could erase any evidence that could implicate him in his wife's murder. He then drugged his wife's lifeless body to the backyard, where he set it on fire to destroy evidences that could get him implicated in his wife's murder. After the body had been partially burned, he buried it in a shallow grave so that no one will find out what he did. After burying his wife's body, he dropped his sons off at school without them seeing their mother. Kenneth then went on with his daily routine as if nothing had happened. However, later on that day, he started feeling guilty for murdering his wife, so he reached out to his father, Kenneth Hardin Sr. He bought for him a plane ticket to Georgia. So his father flew to Georgia so that they could meet in person. When his father landed in Georgia, he went to pick him up from the airport. He then took him to a bank. While at the bank, Kenneth signed over the control of his financial accounts and other fiscal responsibilities to his father. His father got suspicious with his move, so he asked him what was going on. He confessed to his father that he shot his wife to death in self-defense the previous night. He then partially burned her body and buried it in a shallow grave at the backyard of their house. His father was so shocked and horrified at what his son had done. However, he played along with him for the time being. He continued listening to his son as he narrated the events that unfolded that day. Kenneth told his father that he was now going on the run, therefore he needed to leave the town with immediate effect so that he doesn't get caught. However, after Kenneth had left his site, he called the Fayette County Police at 11 a.m. and reported that his son had confessed to him that he killed his wife, Carrie. The police soon arrived at Kenneth Hardin Jr.'s home, which was located along Merlin Court in Fayetteville, Georgia. They started investigating the house, and that is when they discovered the presence of some blood in the house. They also discovered that someone had tried to clean it up. As the investigations were going on, they found surveillance footage in Kenneth's home. When they reviewed the footage, they saw how abusive Kenneth was always to his wife. They also discovered alarming arsenal of weapons inside the home. So they collected all the physical evidences of the murder. They also brought in cadaver dogs to help with the investigations. The cadaver dogs led them to the backyard of the house, where they were able to locate the body of Carrie, which had been buried under yard debris in a very shallow grave. They discovered that the body had gunshot wounds, and it had also been partially burned. Meanwhile, Kenneth was on the run. Police quickly launched a manhunt for him. Using license plate recognition technology, Fayette County detectives were able to track down Kenneth's car to a motel in Covington, Louisiana. When they realized that he had fled across state lines, they collaborated with the Louisiana State Patrol and the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office to coordinate their efforts to locate him. The agencies worked together, sharing information and resources, hoping to apprehend Kenneth before he could escape any further. Their efforts paid off when the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office located Kenneth's vehicle parked outside a nearby motel. With the fugitive potentially armed and dangerous, the SWAT team was deployed to approach Kenneth Hardin's motel room with extreme caution. After carefully planning the operation, the SWAT team made their move, surrounding the motel and positioning themselves for a safe approach to the suspect. The SWAT team successfully arrested Kenneth without incident after he peacefully surrendered. He was taken to police custody. Later, investigators would learn that he had been contemplating suicide by police shooting. Kenneth was held at St. Tammany Parish Correctional Center as a fugitive, awaiting extradition to Georgia, where he would face charges related to the murder of his wife, Carrie Hardin, and tampering with evidence. Fayette County investigators traveled to Louisiana to question him as they prepared for his extradition to Georgia. Kenneth admitted to killing his wife, and he was very much cooperative with the detectives during the questioning. His confession was aligned with the evidences that were found at the crime scene. He willingly told them everything that happened when he murdered his wife. Therefore, the detectives had a clear understanding of the tragic events that unfolded on that fateful day. His arraignment took place on September 2nd, 2024, at the Fayette County Courthouse. As the legal process began, the prosecution sought to portray Kenneth as a calculated individual who had manipulated the situation to his advantage. They highlighted the fact that he had attempted to destroy the evidence and mislead investigators. Kenneth's defense team tried to argue that he acted in self-defense during the heated altercation. They painted a picture of a man pushed to his limits, claiming that Carrie had threatened him. However, the evidence from the scene and the testimonies from friends and family cast significant doubt on this narrative. Surveillance footage from the house also became crucial evidence. It revealed Kenneth's actions leading up to the incident, providing a timeline that contradicted his claims of self-defense. The prosecution's case relied heavily on this footage, which showed Kenneth's demeanor and actions during the days leading up to Carrie's death. Currently, Kenneth Hardin Junior is awaiting his conviction for the first-degree murder of his wife, Carrie Hardin. We hope that Carrie will get the justice that she deserves. May her soul rest in peace. The couple's two young sons, who were aged 11 and 8, and are now both in elementary and middle school, and are now in the care of the family, who are doing their best to support them during this unimaginable, difficult time.